Good evening, everybody. Welcome tonight. Thank you for attending. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Twinsburg Board of Education. Today is Wednesday, December 17th, 2014. Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Stuver?
Here.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Felber?
Here.
Mrs. Turl Waldron is absent.
She is on vacation with her family. Well deserved. So if I could ask everyone to please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, again, good evening, and thanks for attending. We have standing room crowd again, as is always the case when we do the Students of the Month, so thanks for coming. Quickly closing in on the end of yet another calendar year, and after Friday, we'll be halfway through this school year. And, you know, it's cliche to say it, but it just goes by so fast. As the year winds down, I do have a few comments that are related to state activities. We continue to be watchful of the state-level activities that affect education. And as we look ahead to 2015, it will be likely an eventful and very interesting year. Of particular interest to start off the year will be the state's biennial budget. Soon after the first of the year, we should begin to hear about the proposed state budget, and it's likely that it will be a highly energized topic as the year gets going. We will be attentive to the first draft when it's released, and specific interest, of course, towards school funding. One of the issues that can have the most significant impact for our district and the long-term fiscal health is the debate, the ongoing debate over the reductions of the TPP tax reimbursement to schools. It's a topic that I've discussed ad nauseum here at school board meetings and done many presentations over the years, and I won't delve into the details tonight, but be assured that we will keep close tabs on this topic as the budget comes out. Other topics that continue to garner our attention include the debate at the State House regarding the Common Core standards and standardized testing. Still in discussion in Columbus is House Bill 597. The bill was moved out of the committee and to the House floor a few weeks ago, but it does not appear at this time to be scheduled for any action before the new year. House Bill 597 is legislation that was introduced to repeal the state's previous adoption of the Common Core standards. The Common Core standards, which were adopted by Ohio's State Board of Education back in 2010, establish clear expectations of what students should know and be able to do, completing each grade K through 12 in mathematics and English language arts. There are three primary administrative school associations that represent schools down in Columbus, and they are OSBA, BASA, and OASBO. And all three of these organizations oppose this legislation in Columbus that calls for the repeal of the previously approved Common Core standards, and they are actively representing schools via testimony at the State House. These organizations have provided some of the following information. The new standards focus on developing students' critical thinking and problem solving and writing skills, real-world skills that our students need to be successful in today's workforce. In addition, Ohio's new standards focus on a deeper understanding of the materials and not just basic memorization or test taking. House Bill 597 also calls for the repeal of the standards for science and social studies, which is quite interesting considering that these standards are not part of the Common Core, but rather are standards that were created and approved right here in Ohio independently from the Common Core. The three administrative organizations that I mentioned have stated that the best understanding of what works in the classroom comes from the teachers. And that's why these standards will establish what the students need to know, but will not dictate how the teachers should teach. Instead, schools and teachers will decide how best to help our students reach the standards just as they do now. It's also important to note that in addition to the three administrative organizations offering support for the Common Core standards, the Ohio Education Association, which represents Ohio's teachers, is also offering support to stay on track and implement the Common Core standards. The OEA offered testimony opposing House Bill 597 last summer, and the OEA recognizes the challenges associated with the new standards and desires more time to implement it to get it right. Thus, in summary, all of the key education-related organizations are supporting the implementation of the Common Core. If Ohio withdrew from the Common Core, we would be returning to lower standards and expectations for our children, and it would seriously demoralize the education community, which has worked hard for over 3 years to prepare for these standards. One other piece of legislation that I'd like to mention that we're following is House Bill 228, and it addresses the amount of standardized testing that occurs in schools. As I'm sure many others would agree, the amount of mandated testing has become rather overwhelming for our students and staff over the years, and thus there is an effort to reduce the amount of standardized testing that occurs. Our superintendent, Mrs. Powers, has been actively engaged in Columbus with legislators regarding this topic, and she will continue to work along with other superintendents across the state to ensure that testing that is required makes sense and provides value to our teaching staff and our students. So there's certainly much to observe at the state level that may have direct impact locally, and we will continue to report on these issues during upcoming board meetings. At a local level, and on a much happier and brighter note, I would think it's very appropriate to highlight some special recognition for staff and students at the George G. Dodge Intermediate School. Mrs. Powers can provide some additional details, I'm sure, during her superintendent's report, but I'd like to call attention to the fact that our Dodge school has once again been designated as an Ohio School to Watch and was also recognized at the national level as a National Forum School to Watch. So congratulations, our hats are off to our staff and students at Dodge for a job well done. But not to be outdone, our younger Tigers at Bissell Elementary are in a local competition right now to be Fox 8's Cool School of the Week. You can go to fox8.com, search for Cool School, and you'll find a link to vote for our Bissell Tigers. Voting ends early tomorrow morning, so when you go home tonight, pull up the computer, go to fox8.com, find the cool schools, and vote for Bissell. Last time I checked, we were in the lead, Mrs. Powers.
We still are.
Very good. So go home and click often. Hey, holiday music has been filling our schools during the last several weeks, and there are just some outstanding performances of our vocal and instrumental music students. Special thanks to the wonderful members of our staff who share their talents with these tremendously talented students. And I love the updates that I've been getting almost nightly from Mrs. Powers about all of these concerts and events. This evening, we are once again reminded of why we are here as we recognize students for their achievements. Tonight, we have much to celebrate and to be thankful. Our students continue to succeed, and we will continue to highlight their accomplishments throughout the year. Thus, it's appropriate to turn our attention now to what matters most, and that's our students. And thus, a special welcome to the staff, students, and families of Wilcox Elementary, Dodge Intermediate, and the Twinsburg High School. I know that you're here tonight for some very special recognitions, so without further delay, I would like to turn the meeting over to Mrs. Powers for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Stuber. Good evening, Board of Education. It is great to see all of our families out this evening and our kids. Thank you for joining us. We have some great students to recognize and some special guests as well. Mr. Stuber, to make it easier on our parents to vote, we actually have a link off of our website to Fox 8. So if you go to the district website, right on the home page, please go home tonight and click on Samuel Bissell Elementary School so that they can be designated as the Cool School of the Week. We'd be so excited if they were to win that.
We're ahead now. I'm checking.
There you go. It's there.
You all got your iPhones out. You know.
There you go.
Real time.
It has been a great couple of weeks since our last board meeting, and just today, for example, I spent most of the day at our middle school. Early this morning, Mrs. McGing and Mrs. Mariola and their students were presenting acceptance speeches as part of their language arts curriculum. And the students were forward-thinking what kind of honors they would receive 10 and 20 and 30 and 40 years down the road. So we have Nobel Peace Prize winners, and we have valedictorians, and we have all kinds of great things. So it was just a lot of fun, and I appreciate the fact that our parents came out and supported our middle school students this morning. I always have fun watching our parents watch their kids. And the same happened, like in Mrs. Benzie's concert the other couple weeks back. I was watching the parents watch the kids with their phones. Well, today it was the same with the middle school. So thanks, parents. We really do appreciate you coming out and supporting our children, no matter what grade or age they are. Also this afternoon, or actually starting about 10 o'clock this morning, RBC Student Council hosted a Safety Forces luncheon for all of the police and fire departments, Twinsburg, City of Twinsburg, Reminderville, the township. The sheriff was there, prosecutor was there, the mayor was there. A wonderful way for our kids to thank the city services for all the things that they do to support us every day. So I just want to say kudos to RBC's Student Council. Mr. King was behind this one, and they just did a fantastic job today. And we always appreciate all that the city services do, safety forces do for our school district and for our kids in particular. We have more great news. Today, my whole thing is about great news, and I'm going to ask Mr. Welker to introduce a grant we just received yesterday. It's a grant that he has been working on with Mr. Bindus. So, Mr. Welker, if you want to inform the community about this exciting news that we just heard yesterday.
Yeah, so thank you, Mrs. Powers. Very excited to report that we received a total of 6 grants from the Fuel Up to Play 60 program. That's funded through the American Dairy Association, and those 6 grants total over $18,000. Each of our K-8 schools, so those 4 have each received $2,000 per school to fund a food processing unit that would allow us to more efficiently prepare our foods, allows us to have fresher products, including fresher cheeses on our trademark pizza that we have. Also, $2,000 per school to fund all the different wellness activities that Mr. Bendis runs at all those schools. So completely 100% funded through the Fuel Up to Play 60 program, so it doesn't require a match, anything like that. So excited about that. Also at our high school in R.B. Chamberlain, we received funds for a grab-and-go breakfast kiosk. And so both of those are valued at a little over $1,000, which brings our total to the $18,000. So we're very excited about the new partnership with the American Dairy Association and the Fuel Up to Play 60 program. I know they're also affiliated with the Cleveland Browns, and so we'll have Chomps visiting a few of our events as well, and maybe even Joe Thomas as well. He's a spokesperson for the Fuel Up to Play 60 program. So just very excited about the partnership and excited to report it to you today.
Awesome.
This is an opportunity that Mr. Welker brought with him when he came to join our staff this year, and so we appreciate all the work behind the scenes Chad has done to introduce us to these grant opportunities, and Mr. Bindus was right on top of that, and here we're very fortunate. So it means good things for our kids, for sure.
We're hoping he has more in his pocket that he's going to be sharing.
Me too.
Thank you, Chad.
You know, Mr. Stuber, you announced a moment ago some terrific news about George G. Dodge Intermediate School, and I just want to reiterate, Friday, I know the parents all received a phone call from me. I was so excited. I was in Columbus on Friday. I'm working on policy regarding preschool. When I got back, it was after 5 o'clock, and I received notification at that point from the Ohio Department of Education about Dodge, and just so delighted. Mrs. Wursler and Mr. Hyam and Mr. Holland worked so hard with all of the staff members there. And the kids really, really are focused on learning at Dodge. And it's so great now to be redesignated as an Ohio Schools to Watch and as a National Forum School to Watch. What that means is in June, Mrs. Wursler and her staff will be traveling to Washington, D.C., where she will be recognized at the nation's capital for the hard work that happens at Dodge Intermediate School. I asked Mrs. Wursler if she would mind in the January report that she provides an update as to what Ohio Schools to Watch means. But what it does mean is that the learning environment at our intermediate school is top-notch. Kids perform so very well. Staff members are so focused on performance data and are able to drill down and provide instruction that meets the needs of our students. So we congratulate Mrs. Wursler. You do a great job there each and every day, and your staff is second to none. So congratulations to you. And then just one more commercial announcement. Mr. Welker talked about Mr. Bindus and his wellness committee. Just a reminder that we do have 2 parent events planned for the coming winter months as part of our wellness goal for this year. The first is on Tuesday, January 20th at 7 o'clock. Alex Simon is going to be here at 7 o'clock p.m. to present a program about self-esteem and anti-bullying. And this is a program that's meant for parents to bring their kids. Alex Simon is on Stomp on Broadway, and he was at the high school a month ago. Our high school students absolutely were so excited that he was there. So we have invited Mr. Simon back, and so it is again Tuesday, January 20th. And then the other one is a repeat performance from a program we brought here in partnership with the Twinsburg Police Department 2 years ago, and that's our Hidden in Plain Sight program. That is meant for parents only, and this is one of those programs where it's an education for parents to learn a little bit about how some students make bad choices, and sometimes the choices are right underneath our noses and we don't even see them. What happens is they will set up a mock bedroom, and this is going to be at the middle school on Thursday, March 12th. And the police officers will talk to our parents about some things that they just need to be aware of about some bad choices that kids might make, and they're right under your nose. What could potentially be in a bottle of water, what could be in the bottom of a book bag. It's very interesting. So I hope you come out. Again, that is Thursday, March 12th at 7 o'clock p.m. And again, we thank Chief Noga and our police department for partnering with us and bringing that important program here to our school district. So enough about me. There's so much good news. It's amazing. But another bit of good news is we actually have a very special guest here this evening. Our high school has done a phenomenal job in growing our AP program here in our school district. And to provide some more information about what that means, we have Ms. Gia Call from the College Board, who is here this evening to present to us a very important honor. Welcome, Ms. Call. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And I have to say, I'm excited to be here because I can't wait to see what you guys have in store with the kids singing. So, love this. So, Superintendent Powers, members of the board, and members of the community and guests, I'm really excited to be here this evening. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. For the past 10 to 15 years, more and more students have been gaining access into AP courses, which are advanced placement courses. AP courses are introductory level college courses that get students ready for their post-secondary track. Typically, when schools open the doors to access and students start enrolling at higher rates, one would think that scores in AP would drop. But that has not been the case. This past May, when we released our scores, nationwide, they grew, and they continue to grow year after year with increased access. So more students are gaining access to rigor, and there are higher expectations set for students with this. And then the support from the educators and the parents at home have resulted in impressive results. About 5 years ago, we realized that we needed to do something to recognize this growth and the support that the parents and the districts have given to this access to AP, and we created the AP District Honor Roll. And each year, the College Board recognizes school districts that have shown a trend of more and more student growth in AP courses while increasing their overall performance. And this means increasing the access through minorities, increasing overall access, and increasing the scores. And we also look for more diversity. So what makes my visit so special to Twinsburg is not just the AP Honor Roll Award that you have so deservedly gotten this year. It's the second time that Twinsburg has achieved this honor. So I didn't want to merely send a certificate with that kind of news. Twinsburg is only one of 547 districts in the nation to achieve this, and I just want to put that in perspective for all of you. In Ohio alone, there are over 500 districts in Ohio alone, so you can imagine the number of districts in the nation. And Twinsburg is one of 547 across the nation to achieve this, so you are a part of a very special community. So it takes visionary leaders like yourselves who believe that access to these rigorous coursework like AP is good for all students. It takes principals and counselors who believe that opening access to AP benefits makes them prepared to persist and graduate from college. And it takes amazing teachers who tirelessly ensure that students grow each day. And finally, it takes parents who support their schools and teachers so their children strive for excellence each and every day, even when the homework load can sometimes be a bit heavy. So, without further ado, I'd like to ask if there are any AP teachers or AP students in the room, if you could please come forward. And also Principal Turingo and Superintendent Powers, if you could also come forward, please. Please come up here to save it. So on behalf of the College Board, its Board of Trustees, President David Coleman, Midwestern Region, and myself, I present you with the AP 5th Annual Honor Roll for Twinsburg City School District. Congratulations.
Evening, who teach AP, and then the students also.
I'll start with Molly Souders. She's our AP Physics teacher. Shannon Thomas, AP Bio. Sharon Masenko, AP Studio Art, and all kinds of, I think you've seen Sharon through all kinds of Cleveland Clinic projects and such. Donna Houston, AP Computer Science and Computer Programming. And Karen McPherson, Calc, AP Calc BC and AB. Those are the staff that's here tonight. Some could not make it. They either had a sick child at home or they had a conflict with athletics. So we do have men on our AP staff. I just want you to know that. Don't just say girl power and we get all these girls to take AP. But thank you, teachers. Thank you so much, because I know the students over there. And if you could, introduce yourself and tell us if your parents are here tonight.
I'm Jennifer Scott, and my mom is in the back.
And I'm Simi Batra. My mom and my dad are back there as well.
And thank you to our parents. I know that Gia spoke a little bit about our staff and our commitment to AP and getting more students to take it. But the reality is it all starts at home, and it starts at Little Wilcox. So we could not have done this without the support of the K-12 community as well. So thank you. I'll keep this for the high school.
And I just would be remiss if I didn't just congratulate and honor Mrs. Turingo. It's tough to continue to push the high end, you know, and every day she's working with her staff to make sure that our students are focused on learning and that we're providing them the very best at Twinsburg High School. And this is an example of the great things that happen there every day. Ms. Call, thank you so very much for representing the College Board. I was amazed that they wanted to come visit Twinsburg. Really, it's a big deal. And you traveled here today to give us a special recognition. And on behalf of all of our students, particularly those who are our AP students, thank you for your interest in our school district. And thank you to all of our parents for supporting us, because this would never work or would never happen if it wasn't for our very supportive group of parents and community members. So congratulations to all our teachers. Mrs. Stringo. All right, I know that Wilcox Primary is here tonight. I can tell there's so much enthusiasm. It's 2 days from the vacation, and we're just so excited. See, I even have bells on for you guys tonight. I want to ask Ms. Villa and Mr. Assey to come forward. They have a wonderful recognition program here today, and then I do know that Mrs. Benzie is here with some wonderful musical kids who have a special performance just ready for the holiday for our board.
Thank you, Mrs. Powers, Board of Education, community. Tonight is a special evening for a number of occasions. First off, we have a young lady that I'd like to bring up here. Kelsey Drab, please come forward. Kelsey is a first grade student in Mrs. Shirley Browning's class, and she received the first place award given by the Better Business Bureau in the fall coloring contest for grades ages 3 to 7-year-old. Kelsey and her family participated in the coloring contest through Munchies in Macedonia. She completed the picture and they mailed it in. And she had no real idea that she was going to win. But she did. Parents and community voted through Facebook. And as a result, the Better Business Bureau, serving the Greater Cleveland, donated $50 through Kelsey to the Wilcox Art Program to help develop growth and creativity of our future business leaders. So I'd like to congratulate Kelsey and all of her teachers and our art teachers for this fabulous job. And this is exactly what she had colored there. Isn't that spectacular? Congratulations. Thank you, Kelsey.
And if I could just say something, Mrs. Stringo mentioned our AP art teacher, Mrs. Masenko, and I think she's now left, but Kelsey, we're going to be keeping our eye on you because I think Miss Masenko is going to want you in her AP art class pretty soon. So thank you and congratulations. That is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Also, in honor of our holiday season, today we have a very special group of students. Mrs. Benzie's kindergarten music classes performed a few weeks ago in the auditorium. And today we have some students from Mrs. Burton's and Miss Iani's homerooms who will perform a couple selections from their holiday concert series. I know all of our arts teachers have been doing a great job in this very packed concert season. But it is a very celebratory season as well, and we do celebrate the holidays. So without anything further, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Benzie and some students of Mrs. Burton's and Mrs. Iani's class.
I'm Mrs. Lori Bency. I'm a music teacher at Wilcox. This is my 26th year teaching here at Twinsburg Schools, so it's an honor to represent Wilcox this evening. I picked 2 of the 6 classes that performed a couple weeks ago, Mrs. Burton's classes and Mrs. Iani's class. So parents, thank you for taking time out to let your kid participate tonight. We're going to do 2 songs from our show. Our first one's called Our House is a Holiday House, because that's the name of our show. So I hope we enjoy.
Excellent. Excellent job, boys and girls. Thank you very much. You may go back to your seats. Oh, look, I'm sorry. Hold on. One more thing.
The board would like to give you all a nice little treat, so hold on one second. And I know that maybe your parents would like a picture of you, so why don't you stand up front?
That was awesome.
Boys and girls, you sing so very well. I know that our high school music teachers can hardly wait for you to join the high school music program too. So thank you for sharing your talents. You made the board very happy this evening, and you get to share your beautiful music with our community too. Oops. We'll get you one.
Candy canes are a hit.
Thank you, boys and girls. You may be seated. There's a little one in the front row sad that she can't have a. Can I have one of those?
Did he get a pin too, or? Did they get a pin? Oh, I see.
Here you go.
Keeping the peace. Marty didn't get one.
Okay, we'll just wait 1 second, and we have our George G. Dodge program still to come. Okay, I'd like to ask Mrs. Wursler and Mr. Holland and Mr. Heim to please come forward, and we'd like to celebrate some outstanding students from our intermediate school, George G. Dodge Intermediate School. That's a tough act to follow here. We have outstanding students of the month to be recognized this evening. So at George G. Dodge Intermediate School, these students were selected from their Cub community. They stand out from other students with their outstanding leadership qualities, citizenship, academic performance, and efforts. They have great social skills, and they have outstanding overall accomplishments. So we're very, very proud of these students this evening, and these kids are from the Polar Cub, and these are our students of the month. So from grade 4, boys and girls, when we call your name, please come forward and shake Mr. Felber's hand. He has a pin for you, and shake Mrs. Kane Criswell's hand. She has a treat for you. And then we have, of course, Mr. Holland and Mrs. Wursler and Mr. Heim, and they have your certificate. And we ask you to please stay on the stage till all students are recognized so that we can get a nice photo of you for your parents, okay? So beginning with our 4th graders, we have Audrey Durkins. And next we have Ernie Phillips. And next is Blake Wilson. Moving on to our 5th grade students, we have Shantanu Banerjee. And Paige Hepke. Moving on to our 6th grade students, we have Ethan Cribley. And Amy Dakabura. And last but not least, Nathan Wagner. Please join me in congratulating these outstanding students of the month from George G. Dodge Intermediate School. Guys, if you could turn your certificates around, and we're going to give your parents a nice photo opportunity here. So your best Dodge smiles, please. Okay, one more round of applause and congratulations. Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, Mrs. Powers. I did have 2 employees of the month that we wanted to recognize. However, because they are great moms and great teachers and they want to do what's best for kids, they are at their own children's holiday events at their schools. So I'm going to recognize them in January. But their names, I do want to recognize them. This Dawn Luette, our art teacher, and Miss MacArthur. So we'll hit them in January.
Thank you much. Thank you, and congratulations again on that great honor. Thank you. Very great. All right, and finally we have Mrs. Tringo to please come forward, and she has some outstanding students from Twinsburg High School to recognize this evening.
We have really 2 topics. One is our Tiger Strong Students of the Month that I'd like to recognize, but also our commended scholars. So I'd like to start with our commended scholars. And what does it mean to be a commended scholar? And Gia spoke a little bit about it earlier. Certain scores, and the College Board designates certain percentages of students who receive this honor. The College Board does recognize what we call commended scholars. Commended students, there were 34,000 students nationally that were commended this year. And it really represents, out of the 1.5 million students last year that took the PSAT, the top 5% are recognized as commended scholars. We have 6 of them right here at Twinsburg High School. So I'd like to recognize them tonight with a little certificate that College Board does give us. And so if I could start, the National Merit Qualifying Test for the PSAT honors 6 of our students. Our first one is Simi Batra. Simi, come on up. Congratulations, Simi. Remind us again, who's here tonight?
My parents, my dad.
Was the one waving, yes. Was she a drama student too? When she was, no. Yes, please stay with your, okay. Our next one tonight is Kelvin Chang. I did not see Kelvin tonight. No, okay. Thank you. Liam Durbin? No. Okay, Robert Garrett. Yes, Robert. You could have gotten away with their home studying. Okay. Nick Proden. Nick. Okay. Yes, he's actually studying. And Jennifer Scott. Woohoo! Congratulations, Jennifer. And remind us again, who's here?
My mom.
Mom's back there. Very good. Congratulations. Our six commended scholars, 2 tonight. Thank you. Thanks, ladies. Photo op. Okay. Now, our Tiger Strong Students of the Month. Every month we recognize students who teachers would like to honor just for any reason. They can nominate them. We have this evening 6 of them. Our first one, I'd like to just give a little, because they don't know who nominated them. So I'm going to just kind of read a little bit about why they were nominated. Oh, did I miss the notice date? I'm sorry. I was going to nominate Jermaine Brown. He tries his best at everything. Come on up here, Jermaine Brown. Okay. Okay, Jermaine, I'm going to read more about you, okay? Stand up here. Okay. He tries his best at everything and is very respectful and kind to everyone he encounters. He's just a great kid. He does his best in all he does. He usually does fairly well. And I just am so proud of him. Please save this for next month if you can't honor him, but I would love to honor him, Mrs. Sherry Carter. Sherry Carter. Okay, do you know who Mrs. Carter is? Okay, well, she thinks you're awesome. Congrats, Jermaine. Okay, Jermaine, you want to stay up here? Okay. Okay. And it's Candy King. Okay. Our next one this evening is Elizabeth Snow. She's back there. Come on up, Elizabeth. Okay. Elizabeth, I'll read a little bit about why you were nominated, okay? From a surprise teacher. Okay, here we go. Okay. Elizabeth is a quiet, respectful student who has overcome certain obstacles in her life. She's enjoying school and excelling to the best of her abilities within her courses. She has also gained a direction for a possible career path, which involves food photography. That is so cool. All right, Elizabeth enjoys cooking and excels in photography class. Her photographs evoke a personal style while incorporating techniques that she has learned during our class. She was surprised and excited when I was pulling a few of her works for the use of my own school webpage. Elizabeth seems to be the type of student who doesn't seek out recognition for her personal achievements, but it will give her a great sense that we as a teaching staff have noticed her accomplishments, and it will definitely encourage and support her to push forward towards her brighter future that I know she will achieve and succeed in. And this was her honor from Miss Kozak, your photography teacher. Congratulations. Okay. If I can call up now, Andrew Drew Wagner. Okay. Woo-hoo. Okay. Now, his teacher wrote an entire page, but I'm not going to read it all, but I'll read the highlights tonight, a little bit about Drew and why you were nominated, okay? All right. This year, I was lucky to have Drew in my American Lit class as well as my drama class. I was so excited to find that he is so much a leader in both of those classes. On the second day of reading The Crucible, Drew took a large part. Usually, sophomore academic classes aren't willing to read, but the actual acting doesn't always come alive. On that first day, Drew threw himself into the expression. When he finished, they applauded him. Multiple students have told me since that day they really would like to get up and read each day. I've never had a class that needs to have parts cast 2 days in advance because so many people want to read. The entire class watched Drew ignore what others thought in order to plunge himself into the classwork, and they began to do the same. Since that date, I have had students asked to share personal poetry and music, and they've even brought in instruments. This past week, he performed a monologue for his English class for a project. He came in dressed as a hobo clown and again received quite a few giggles. As his performance went on, the students were responding throughout, and when he finished, the feedback was fantastic. As I watched him this week, I thought again how much I appreciate this kid that is unafraid to be who he is in a crowd. What others think doesn't matter much to him or what his peers see. They feel comfortable showing their real selves as well. His classmates mention the value of his help and leadership to me more often than he could possibly imagine. Drew, you made quite an impact, and that's from Mrs. Chernick. Congratulations. If I can call up Isha Patel. Isha Patel? I don't think she, okay. And let me just tell you, Isha was nominated by Mrs. Nikki Swinning. Isha works tremendously hard on her coursework. She's always respectful, helps other classmates when they are struggling, and she genuinely really does make everyone's day around her better. Her positive attitude is super uplifting. Also, 11th grader Johnny Becker. Come on up, Johnny. Okay. Johnny will guess later who nominated you, but Johnny walks into the room with a smile on his face and a warm greeting every day. Having known Johnny for 2.5 years now, I have seen him become what Tiger Strong embodies. He has every attribute and truly is one of Twinsburg High School's finest students. He does the right thing every time, never expects anything in return. I enjoy so much working with him every day. He was nominated by Mrs. Iwick and Mrs. Swinning. Congratulations, Johnny. And I don't know if Ethan's here. Last but not least, Ethan Dale. Ethan? Okay. Just read a little bit about Ethan. Ethan, during third block study lab, there's a student who consistently asks him for math help. He gladly obliges, even though the other student is a freshman and not in his group of students. He really does a great job in explaining math to her, which is probably part of the reason she keeps asking him for help. So to Ethan Dale, thank you. And that's from Mrs. Roberto. So these are our Tiger Strong Students of the Month. Congratulations, students.
Students, we're very, very proud of you, and you know, you are the best that we have, and you give every day to not only your teachers and your peers, but to your parents, and you're the pace setters for the school district. So thank you so very much for working hard and being the best that you are, and we do appreciate that, so thank you. Why don't you turn the certificates around, because just like the parents from Wilcox and Dodge, your parents probably want a nice photo of you for this evening as well.
And also, one last comment, I'd like to ask the students who they brought with them tonight. I always like to do that. Okay, who'd you bring with you tonight?
My mom and dad and friend and sister.
There they are back there. Thank you. Who'd you bring with you?
My mom, my dad, my aunt, and my little cousin.
There they are. There you go.
I brought my mom, sister, and dad.
Congratulations.
My mom and dad in the front row.
With the two cameras. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Congrats. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Mr. Stuber, that concludes our comments and our celebratory remarks for tonight. We have so much to celebrate, and it's just a pleasure. Thank you for allowing us an opportunity to highlight and showcase some awesome students.
Yeah, I think we all agree up here. It's awesome to have this. It's a great reminder of why we sit up here and do this. So thank you for providing that.
Absolutely, our pleasure.
Okay, you're welcome to stay, but if you've got homework to do, now would be the time to go. But if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you can do that. I think we've got a few left. We'll move into committee reports. And before we go into, I know we've got a lot under policy, I'd like to give Mr. Curtis an opportunity to give us an update from CVCC.
Good evening, everyone. Holiday season is upon us. Wow, my hot time.
flies.
Yeah.
I didn't wear my holiday colors. Sorry, I missed the memo. But yeah, I wanted to update you on a few things. Let's see, first and foremost, advanced ed. The CVCC successfully concluded the advanced ed review. It's an annual review that we get, but it's Advanced Ed is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that conducts rigorous on-site external reviews of pre-K to 12 schools and school systems to ensure that all learners realize their full potential. The external review team has recommended renewal for our full accreditation through 2019. So there's nothing to worry about, but we're always happy to have that validation of what we already know that we're doing. So that recently occurred. Also, Student and Parent Information Night was held on December 4th, and over 1,100 students and parents attended the CVCC for the Student and Parent Information Night. And the Information Night, the evening was designed to be part of a research and application process for high school students as they plan for next year. So I think it's one of the biggest turnouts that we've had. Very happy about it. So we're excited. Hopefully we'll get a lot of kids for next year enrolling in the programs and possibly expanding. So another program that we had was IT for girls. It's for girls. Play on words there. But in conjunction with the We Are It campaign, or the We Are IT campaign, program provides middle school girls with information and incentives to pursue their interest in STEM and IT careers. They participated in a variety of interactive technology-related activities, and they also participated in group activities to learn more about careers in IT, as well as they had lunch with some of the IT professionals that came and did presentations for them. So very well attended, very successful as we look to kind of reach down lower and bring along middle school kids and kind of show them more options other than over and above traditional four-year colleges or whatever the case may be. More importantly, getting them involved in IT and STEM careers. So we thought that was something that was real positive. We're looking forward to doing it in the future. CCG Energy Solutions did a presentation for the board, and the representative was Brian Wagner, and he reported on the progress of energy savings for the Ohio House Bill 264 project, and he gave us a lot of data, pretty extensive information, and I won't go into detail other than to say in general that over 4 years we saw a 40% reduction in energy costs for the center that resulted in over $1 million in savings. So I know that Twinsburg did something very similar, if not the same. It's amazing what they're able to do in terms of what they estimate, and then in terms of real cost. It was over and above what they estimated, which we're real happy about, in electric and gas consumption. So that was done. And then last but not least, every year our kids get placed, early placement for paid internships. Well, when we place them, we also send out a survey to the employers that employ them to get feedback on how they're doing, if they're respectful, if they're very effective at what they do. So we got the results back for the early placement, and 90 surveys were mailed out, and 82 were completed and sent back. Wow. So we had a return rate of 91% of the employers that actually responded to the surveys that we sent out, and 99% of the employers said that they would hire another CVC student with no reservation, pending future job availability. 94% of the employers had a positive experience with the CVC students. Entry-level skills, 87% received either an excellent or good rating. Work habits and attitudes, 78% exhibited either excellent or good work habits. Attendance and punctuality, 83% received either excellent or good. and still employed. 78% of the students that were placed were still employed during the summer or after the school year ended, and several were offered full-time positions, showing a strong commitment from the employers. So still work to do, but I think that's pretty impressive for the students that we do place, and there's a high likelihood that they will be receptive to continuous placement of our students, and we'll look to expand other market opportunities for them to get into. So that's it for the academic pieces. There's one piece relative to our organizational meeting that the next time that we're going to be meeting is in January, and that's going to be on January the 15th. And there are a few seats that are going to be up, so it's possible that the board makeup could change. It's possible, maybe not. So we'll know at that time whether our board makeup will change. I will still be there, obviously. But that's something that we're looking forward to. We have some board business that we are actually going to table for the next month so that they give these members an opportunity to have some input and voice in the matters. That concludes my report. Are there any questions?
I don't have any questions, but it's about a month ago. I just wanted to say thank you publicly. We had the opportunity to attend a dinner at the CVCC, the all-boards dinner, and I think right after that I was absent at the next board meeting, but I just wanted, since you're here tonight, even though it was a month ago, just to say thank you. The students that participated from the food preparation, and it was just awesome. The food was great. Yeah, I think, when they introduced them, I think more than half of the students were Twinsburg.
Yes, yes.
And we were kind of beaming from our table. I don't know if you could tell. I mean, you were there, and
I'd
it
like
was...
to say I had something to do with that,
Yeah,
but I didn't.
well, I'll tell you what, let's just say you get credit for it tonight and just take it. It was just awesome, and I had a great opportunity to sit beside one of our students who was involved in the computer programming area, and we had a very geeky but very fun conversation. So it was kind of fun to meet some of the kids that are out there, and I just wanted to publicly express our thanks for what those students did that night. It was a great evening.
Yeah,
The kids were very professional. They took it very seriously.
No, they did,
Good job.
and you're right, I was beaming. I was very, very proud, had my chest stuck out real high, only because our kids do take it very seriously. We were very well represented with the serving, and the presentation went well. All of the kids did well, and as the superintendent indicated, those were not pre-prepared statements. Those kids, just kind of said what they needed to say, and I thought we were well represented. So I appreciate your feedback.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I know we have a lot of policies, but before we do that, is there any other committee reports that we need to discuss this evening before we dive into policy?
No.
All right, and I think we're going to break this up. Rob's
Right,
got some, Tina's got some.
Over the next several hours, we're going to be parsing the 38 policies. Now, as a matter of explanation of the process first, policies are such that our policy, not to use that word too many times, is that these policies go to the policy committee, of which myself and Mrs. Davis are members as representatives from the board. That committee reviews the policies and then sends them to the board for review. This is the first of 2 readings. I'm going to take the first 20, but I'm going to skip them down very quickly. These, for those that haven't heard before, we get recommendations from a membership that many school districts participate in called NEOLA. It's basically a legal association. So a lot of these policies are ones that align with changes in state law and policy and guidelines. So I'm just going to highlight a couple, some of the beginning ones that you might see in 0131.1 allow us really simply to make technical changes, align numbers, and make things read a little bit better. 2210 deals with curriculum development. It just happens to be the same committee that myself and Mrs. Davis sit on. Same policy there. Curriculum suggestions come before the parents and the teachers and in this committee, and then of course it comes to the board for their approval. Again, many on state law. Highlight ones that deal with in 2430, 2430.02, deal with some of the changes in STEM laws and the ability for our students and those students to participate and extracurricular activities. You see some things on adoption of textbooks. Probably the ones that have the most impact, at least in the section that I'm reviewing. You saw how many iPhones and Droid devices went off every time we give a student an award. We're developing policies and updating policies that deal with bring your own device. You might have BYOD. Make sure you hear it's the D, bring your own device. And 5136.01 will be the one the students will see. That's the change in reflection that's going to be in the student handbook. So a lot of teachers are starting to utilize this. These devices have to be authorized by a teacher to be used. They're not to be chatting and Instagram and all those things during class. But there are many advantages to having the device and utilizing the wireless system that was installed, what, about 2 years? Went online. Very fantastic system. So it's impacting our students' education. So I'm going to stop there and ask Mrs. Davis to
All right.
briefly go over the
Briefly.
18
I'll
left.
try to do the best I can. 'Cause
You guys
there's
are
a
doing great.
ton of
so
stuff here.
You're fine.
I'm starting with policy 5330, and that's just involves the use of medicine, and there are changes in the policy regarding dispersing medicine to diabetics and also use of EpiPens. So it'll go into further detail throughout the policy. And the two that follow also have to do with EpiPens and diabetic students. 5830 is a policy that's involving student fundraising, and there's a federal mandate change in that. And it involves a time where we're able to, the time in the day from midnight to 30 minutes after the end of the school day, and what kinds of foods we're allowed to serve for fundraising. 6144 pertains to investments. And then the next, let's see, 7540 and .02, 0304 all have to do with technology and computer and technology networks. And what will be highlighted is the safeguards that are established by the board and use of social media by students and teachers and the appropriate use of that in the classroom if it is used in the classroom. Let's see, now I'm going to skip to 8210 involves the school calendar and what's going to be changed between school days and school hours according to House Bill 59. Let's see, 8325 is just a new policy regarding receiving legal documents that pertains to board and different just actions against the board. 8330 details student records and what is acceptable to share, and it also deals with student directory information. And let's see, 8500, 8540, and 8550 all have to do with food services, and vending machines. And let's see, and school revenue from the vending machines and competitive fundraising or food sales through fundraising. And 8510 involves wellness, and it goes into detail about healthy behaviors and habits of students, nutrition education, as well as the district's promotion of wellness through wellness activities. And 8660 involves incidental transportation of students by a private party, and this is including occasional transportation for field trips, outings, etc. And the last one on this list, 9211, it deals with district support organizations, and it defines support organizations and what classifies an organization, and it details rules and procedures between the board, administration, and any district organization. So that's it for me. How'd I do?
Yeah, you guys said that's the first,
lots of
that's
policy.
the first 38 of more to come.
Yes, exactly.
So, and again, that's just the first reading, so there'll be a second reading at our next meeting.
Yeah. So I started with 6 pages, and I tried to summarize it that quickly for you.
Well, and I think it's the first time I've seen that many, 38. So,
Yeah.
Mrs. Powers, a couple that you'd like to highlight, I think.
Just to add some clarifying comments on a couple of these. Board of Education, you have a district goal this year that talks about the district developing a plan to harness the power of the internet. And before we can actually get that to happen in our school districts' classrooms, we need to make sure that we have policy and administrative guidelines. So many of the board drafts that Mr. Felber and Mrs. Davis just alluded to here as in the first reading are talking about the work that has happened behind the scenes to create these policies. Mrs. Farthing and Mrs. Trapphagen have done a yeoman's job of meeting with administrators and teachers and putting together language that works for our school district, because when Neola gives us these draft policies, they're pretty vanilla and they're not Twinsburgized. And so that work happens before it comes to the board subcommittee for further conversation, then ultimately to the board. So those policies, anything that's related to technology on this first reading is in alignment to that board goal that we're working on this year. Just wanted to make sure that we noted that. And then Mrs. Davis and I think Mr. Felber both spoke about student fundraising and food services and vending machines. There is a pretty important document called the USDA Dietary Guidelines for Americans and the USDA Smart Snacks in Schools Nutritional Standards. Mr. Bindis works very diligently to make sure that all the food items we provide to our kids in our classrooms, in the cafeterias rather, really fit those guidelines and those standards. Now board policy has to also align with those standards, and any time that we are selling products to kids on the school day, they have to align. And if we're, for example, have a concession stand and we're selling something that's outside those standards, those sales cannot begin until 30 minutes after the end of a school day. That's the wording on these new policies. We just wanted to clarify what that specifically meant, and it's all in line now to these new nutrition standards. And you know, Mrs. Obama has been forthright in her commentary about, you know, making sure that our kids are well in school. So this lines up with some things that have been happening at the federal level. Just wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
And I would also like to thank all the administrators and department heads that came, you know, to explain and discuss each of these specific policies. It was almost like a revolving door parade at this particular meeting of 3 hours. But, you know, very good input, and you can't underestimate or understate the amount of work that was done before it went to the subcommittee. So we thank them for their clarification and commitment.
Yeah, and I think as I looked at them, you know, I counted 6 of the policies that are on here, to your point, that are related to district goals. So there's a connection there. And 5 of them that had some relation to what you just said, Mrs. Powers, the USDA laws in terms of food safety. So, you know, we're just lining up with what the government says we have to do in terms of food safety. And there were a couple that were related to state law changes with regard, and I think you read them, Tina, the EpiPen and diabetes and things like that. So, you know, this is just really keeping us in line with what, you know, federal and state laws are dictating, and then a few of them are related to the technology. Those were the ones that I picked out as being important. So I appreciate your highlights on all of these things. And, you know, if anybody obviously has a question on any one of these policies, which are all listed out in the agenda, they can certainly reach out to you, Rob, or Tina, or Mrs. Powers, and ask questions.
And of course, the existing policies that are already in place are online under the board section of the district website.
Great. Anything else? Any other committee reports?
Not this time.
Okay. Very good. Next on the agenda, we turn things back over to Mrs. Powers. I know you have a report to do tonight.
I do. Thank you. As Mr. Felber and Mrs. Davis just spoke about policy, well, we now have a new policy, or soon to be hopefully adopted board policy about the school calendar. And again, this lines up now with new statute. Some school districts across the state have already moved in this current school year to building their academic calendar on the number of hours of students participating in class. We were able to hold on to a calendar this school year that we spoke specifically of days, and that's because our contract with the Twinsburg Education Association is still in play. As we move into the new calendar year, we'll soon be engaging in negotiations with TEA, and one of the things that we'll be talking with our teachers is some change in the language currently in the contract about the school calendar. So everything is kind of coming now to a head. New year, new negotiations with TEA, and a new calendar. And I know that as soon as the holidays come and go, our parents want to know, what will the calendar look like for 15-16? So behind the scenes, what has happened is a lot of conversation between myself and Mrs. Suter-Riley, the president of TEA, Mr. Stebbins, who assists her greatly with the work of TEA's organization. And then we have in our district a labor relations management committee that sits down frequently to
work through details. And in this particular case, we were working through the details of the calendar. It is a little bit different than what we're used to seeing, even in the look of it. My secretary has refreshed the look of the district calendar. But I wanted to present to you and the community this evening some of the significant changes. When we built this new calendar, it is going to be built upon some different guidelines than what we were used to. We were used to 180 student days. Well, it's going to look different now. So Mr. Welker is going to help this evening because Mrs. Farthing is also at her daughter's music program. So Mr. Welker is pinch hitting. So if it doesn't work quite well, we're.
As long as he keeps coming with, as long as he keeps bringing grants, he can have a couple technical.
That's right. Okay then. All right. So the first thing that and most significant is the fact that we are not going to be talking about school days anymore. The way the new standards or statute is directing us is that we have to make sure that students are attending class for a specific number of hours. So if you look up on the screen there, we're going to be converting school days to school hours. So our part-time kindergarten, and we don't have any part-time kindergarten kids, well, maybe a few, but for part-time students, they have to be in school 455 hours. Our full-day kindergarten through kids that are in grade 6 have to attend class for 910 hours, and then our students who are in grades 7 through 12 need to attend for 1,001 hours. I'm not quite sure what the 1 is on the end of that. I'm not sure how they figured that out, but that is now the required amount of hours for our high school and middle school students. So that was the first puzzle to pick, to take the calendar as we currently know it and try to convert that into hours instead of days. So it was a bit of a math problem. Some of the things that we had to consider, and some of these were already currently in play, was the fact that we were able to use the equivalent of 2 school days for parent conferences and 2 school days for professional meetings of teachers. That's current language, and we already use those considerations. We were just able now under the new statute to also apply that when we were figuring out this puzzle. These other 2 exceptions are also current guidelines, the first being the fact that kindergarten students can be oriented to their first school experience over a period of 3 days. And also our seniors at Twinsburg High School are excused from school for up to 3 days at the end of a school year. And we do have that happen here at the high school. There is graduation commencement practice to take care of, and a lot of things at our end of the year business that Mrs. Tringo helps manage, and that's a consideration that was going to be allowed now in the new calendar. Some of the things that were counted in the calculation of hours for our students, we are able to use supervised activities that are curriculum related. An example of that is if we have a student who is a senior this year, and at the end of the year Mrs. Houston sponsors our senior projects. The kids go out and they do a shadow experience, an internship for lack of a better term, at an area business. We can still count those hours that the students are actually still in school, although not on campus. We're able to count scheduled classes, the typical time the kids are in school. Anytime that we have an educational option where credit is issued, for example, students engaging in PSEO and dual credit, we were going to give them credit, they're out doing schoolwork, we can still count those hours. And we are able to count recess for our students in grades K to 6 up to 15 minutes for AM and PM recess. So that works out well for us in some cases. We are not permitted to count, however, the amount of time that our students are having lunch or breakfast. Extracurricular activities don't count in the total calculation. The next one here, this is a big one for us, and this is called the senior privilege. As you know, our seniors, the class of 2015, for example, if they fulfilled their graduation requirements, they're allowed to leave campus early on a school day. Beginning with the 15-16 school year, we will not be permitted to do that because we won't be able to calculate those hours into our final number for our students at the high school. This is going to cause a big shift at the high school, and Mrs. Tringo is already engaging the department chairs and other members of her staff to figure what will this be, what kind of impact will this have on scheduling at the high school. And the bigger deal is that the juniors this year, the class of 2016, have been waiting to be seniors and have been waiting for the opportunity to fulfill their graduation requirements to be able to leave campus go to work and go to some, post-secondary opportunities that they would like to engage in, that's not going to be permissible now with the new calendar. So we're trying to get on the front end of this and understanding that this is changing, and our students need to understand that as well.
So as a clarification, the post-secondary and off-campus cannot count?
No, that still counts because
That
that's
still
for
counts.
credit.
Okay, for credit, so it's when it's
Right.
not credit.
It's when a student would have left campus on their own, maybe they had a job
Right.
after school. That won't count now unless it's for a shadowing experience, some kind of flexible credit maybe, then it would count. So we have to get on the front end of this and inform our students of what will count and what won't count for credit at the high school. Now, the great news about the new calculation of this calendar is that the whole worry that we have about calamity days basically will go away. Because when it's all said and done, when we take a look at our current school day times about 180 days that we're currently in school, we are way over the minimum number of hours. So for example, at our 9th through 12th grade, if we were to calculate everything as it currently is now, we're already over by 18 days. So if we had a tremendous snowstorm and the kids were out of school for 7 days, there will not be a worry because we're already over the minimum requirement. And that's a very good thing. And the question was, well, then why are we in school 180 some days? Well, we're not a minimum requirement school district. We want to continue to provide the very best for our students. So we're not interested in shortening that. But we do want to make sure that we're providing enough opportunity so that the experiences that our students have here in school are the very richest that they can be. So this Calamity Day issue and the worry about blizzard bag will go away at the end of this year as soon as the new calendar kicks into play in August of 2015. So here's the calendar that we're proposing to the Board of Education for consideration. Again, the look is a little bit different. I think it's cleaner and crisper, and I thank Terry Hedrick, my administrative assistant, for just bringing us up here to speed with a calendar that's a little bit different in look, but I think it's very appealing. What you will see up on the screen is that the proposed calendar as it stands today, the first student day of 2015 in August will be August 19th, where you see the yellow star. It's a typical calendar with regard to vacations. Our winter break next year is similar to the winter break of this year, where it's quite nice and long. The first day would be December 21st, and then the students are back on Tuesday, January 5th from winter break. The spring break is around the Easter holiday from March 25th, and we're back to school on April the 4th. And the way everything falls, this current proposal, you will see that the students would be out of school. Their last day would be the Friday prior to Memorial Day, which would be Friday, May 27th. So I know that this school year and last year we were out a little bit past Memorial Day, and we did hear a few comments about, well, why don't we get out in May? And so this calendar returns to what was traditionally the calendar here in Twinsburg, where school was out for the students by the around the Memorial Day holiday, I should say. I do want to point out a couple things that are different on the calendar. Mr. Welker, if we want to go back to the calendar. See what I mean? He's the replacement guy.
It said as long as he's bringing grants, he can make all.
Yeah. All right then. Couple of things that we built into this calendar. You know, in the past we had to apply for waiver days from the Ohio Department of Education. Because we are significantly over the number of hours, we have built into the calendar 2 curriculum days already. So what happened with our waiver days is we would have to apply, and then we would have to wait for the ODE to approve it. And then we would have to go back to our community and say, oh, remember that calendar? Well, guess what? There are 2 more days that the kids are off of school. So we're front-ending it. You will notice that those dates are on the calendar now. And then the other additional dates on the calendar are what we're calling data days. And data days are days that the staff members will be looking fast and hard on student performance data, and they will be working with their professional learning communities to analyze data to be able to make great instructional decisions for kids so that our students continue to do well in school. So I'm going to point out what those dates are. So in August, and this really has no impact on the students, The teacher's first day will be August 17th, and that's a half-day work day, a half-day professional meeting day for our teachers. And then on August 18th, again, the kids don't report, that's a Tuesday, that will be our first data day. So the staff will be engaged in looking at student data to really build some great instruction for the students once they return to school. And then again, the kids' first day, students' first day is on a Wednesday, and that would be August 19th. If you look at September then, we did build in a curriculum day, and that's going to be on the Friday before Labor Day. We thought our parents would like a long weekend, perhaps. And so that waiver day or curriculum day is Friday, September 4th, and then you have the Labor Day holiday on that Monday. On the 28th of September, you will see another day off for the kids. That's another data day, and that's an opportunity for our teachers, again, to work in professional learning communities to look at our student performance data so that we really have our instruction down pat and ready to roll for the year. And then in November, we have a pretty significant election coming, and so on Tuesday, November 3rd is an election day, so we typically build our professional development day on election day here in November, so that's typical to what we've always done. Then the long holiday. I guess I missed October, didn't I? I apologize.
19th.
In October, there is a data day built on the 19th of October. Again, that's a long weekend because the 16th is NEOEA Day. So we were very strategic in trying to build these extra data days on the calendar to work well with parent schedules around weekends. And so that's the 19th being a data day. And the rest is a pretty typical calendar. So Board of Education, with the new ruling, what has to happen here is we are providing a proposed calendar. In the past, we would have asked you to vote on it tonight, but the new law stipulates that our community now has 30 days in which to consider what we're proposing to you and to provide feedback to you or me so that when we reconvene on January 21st, which is the second board meeting in the new year, we will hopefully move forward with the approval of this calendar. But it does provide an opportunity for community dialogue and conversation around what we were proposing here.
Part of the last change in the law, I don't think it was a mandate, but it was a suggestion that we align our spring break with the JVCC, and that's aligned as well. So that's, I think, may look a little earlier in spring break, and that's probably going to be that way for a while, unless all the collective schools get together and decide to change it.
Right, what we do is the associate superintendents that support the work of the CVCC, Twinsburg being one of them, we meet with Dr. Roebuck frequently, and our last meeting was just this past week, and she asks us to bring our calendars, and if you haven't finalized your calendar, you're part of the conversation about, well, what does it look like? Because, again, as you've indicated, we're supposed to be all aligned so that the students who are going to the CVCC Learning Center really aren't going to have a problem with some classes having enough students to run and some having vacation on a different day. So
Exactly. And with the families, too, if you've got students that are not yet at CVCC and the family vacations, at least it's all in the same.
Correct.
And no blizzard packs.
Right. This year, yes. Next
Well,
year.
yeah, I was going to next year.
Right.
We're not going to have any this year either.
I hope not.
Yeah, so I think just in summary, and Rob, you'll like this because I know you're a process guy, administrative preparation of the schedule, which resulted in sharing it with our staff. Staff input back, collected all of that, resulting in this proposed calendar that you just presented in the administrative report. It's on our agenda as item J10, so we'll act on that later in the agenda. That provides public notice of the calendar being proposed, and then more than 30 days from now, the law says at least 30, so more than 30 days from now is the January 21st meeting, which, as you pointed out, is the second meeting in January for the board, which is when it will show back up on the board agenda to be approved. So for parents who want to know when is the calendar going to be finalized, the answer is January 21st.
Right.
And they can view this, I may have missed that, are you going to post it online for their comment, or they can call the office? Or?
We'll post the
calendar that's in the board presentation this night on the website, and we will ask them to give me a ring or send me an email directly.
Great.
And I already received one parent
All right.
comment, and she said, "I love it," all capitals. So
Okay.
that's a good thing. So we invite all of our parents to take a look and let us know what you think.
I think it's great that we put it out here and give people an opportunity to look at it, so.
Just a quick comment, just to commend everyone that pulled it together for the addition of the data days specifically. I mean, I think it was only a matter of time before we had recognized the shift in the type of work that was being required of our staff. And data has certainly, you know, the percentage of their time I think they spend analyzing data relative to 5 years ago or, you know, any time in the past is more significant, and it's good to see that the introduction of the hours versus the days enabled us to, you know, do something like this, because it makes a lot of sense, I think. So.
It does, and thank you for the support of that.
Great, thank you. Do you need Chad to do anything else with the computer, Mrs. Powers?
Or just step away.
Yeah, just
slowly.
Okay.
I appreciate your help, Chad.
Mr. Welker, I think this falls in the job description under that last line that says other duties as assigned. So, thank you. Okay, before we move on into the agenda, is there anything else from my colleagues tonight under committee reports or any questions under the admin section? Okay. Mr. Aho, no blue cards here tonight for remonstrance. So as is our practice, those wishing to address the board fill out the blue card. We have none tonight, so we will move on. Next on our agenda then is the treasurer's report and recommendations under action item H. And there are 5 of them, and without objection, I will read these together consent agenda. And I will summarize, there are several resolutions tonight that are provided in great detail in the agenda. I will summarize them, and then if anybody needs the details, they can take a look online at the agenda as posted. Agenda item H1, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following meeting minutes for the regular meeting of December 3rd, 2014, which was sent to the board under separate cover. H2, that the Board of Education accepts the following financial report for the month of October 2014 and bank reconciliation, general fund financial summary report, and the financial report by fund. H3, that the Board of Education accepts the check register for the month of October 2014. The total, including payroll, is $3,742,361.55. Item H4, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the special fund to the general fund pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code 5705.14, subparagraph D. Item H5, that the Board of Education approves a resolution authorizing the advance of local taxes by the county fiscal officer for the tax year 2014 and payable in 2015, which is pursuant to Section 321.34 of the Ohio Revised Code. Is there a motion for these 5 agenda items, please?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Kane-Criswell, a second.
Second.
I heard this one, so I will go second to Mr. Felber. Firstly, under H4, this resolution simply recognizes that there are funds that were related to our latchkey program, which we took offline, that were required to remain only for that program. We saw that that program was spending off these funds some years ago. We allowed the program to continue for a year, and then after last year, we took it offline. The remaining funds then require a resolution so that we can move these funds from the special fund into the general fund, where we have the plan to use those monies for student achievement in reading program. So I don't know if there's anything else detailed about the program where we're going to spend those funds that you'd like to talk about, but I think that kind of summarizes we're moving money from a place where it can't be used other than the latchkey program, which has been taken offline, into the general fund where we can use it for other educational purposes.
And specifically, we have a great summer reading program for elementary students called Project STAR. I think we changed the name to the Summer Reading Camp last summer. And for many years, we had a number of donors that were supporting our summer reading program. And over the years, the donations have virtually diminished and have gone away. And last 2 years, we were able to use the early literacy grant through the curriculum department to support our summer reading program. So we were able to make it work. That grant and those funds have now gone away too. So by the transfer of this special fund into the general fund, we now have the funding to be able to begin to plan and have a wonderful summer reading program for kindergarten through grade 4 that has been here in the district for many, many years. So we're delighted. Mrs. Farthing's already planning like crazy, and so this is going to provide the dollars that we need. You know, with the third grade reading guarantee as it is here and the importance of early literacy, these dollars are going to go a long way to providing that support over the summer at little or no cost to our parents. And so that's what it's really important to note too.
Is there a projection on roughly how many years we're able to recoup by transferring this to that program? Or
Mr. Aho, I don't know. What we spent last year was $200,000 by the time you consider salaries and transportation and instructional supplies, and it's a bit
we
of,
may be talking a couple years before we have to
yeah, this would help us for a couple years, and then of course grant funding and such. We need to look for some soft funding dollars.
Grant
So,
Welker.
but in the short term, this will allow us to continue our summer reading program, which is really very important for our kids. So thank you for that.
Mr. Aho, I wondered if you could just provide a few comments on H5.
Yes, this is something that we need to do every year. As the county collects real estate taxes, you know, you pay your taxes twice a year. As those collections come in, the county could just sit on those funds and wait till everything is paid and then give you one big check at the end of the process, which would be like in February and or one check in February, you get one check in August. But what this resolution does is it tells the county, as you guys are collecting the money down there, you know, send it our way. So so we get advances throughout the months when those dollars are being collected, and it kind of smooths out the revenues flow a little bit better than just getting, you know, a couple of checks, twice a year. We need to ask them to do that, so.
Right, and I think that's the key, is the resolution is us asking the county to please pay us on a regular basis.
Yes.
Pretty
Yeah.
Okay. I know it sounds a little odd, but that's the basis of the resolution. Any other comments on these items? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes. And those items pass 4-0. Next is action items for personnel under agenda item I. Without objection, I will read these three together, consent agenda. Item I-1, that the Board of Education accepts the certificated licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit, which is I-1, as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. I-2, that the Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit, I-2, as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. And I-3, that the Board of Education accepts the supplemental contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit I-3 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. Motion, please, for those three agenda items.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Davis, a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Felber. Any discussion on these items regarding personnel? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes. And those three items pass 4-0. Under new business, which is agenda item J, we have a total of, I think it's 9 here that I will read together consent agenda without objection from my colleagues, and then we will act on J10 separately. Action item J1, that the Board of Education approves a memorandum of understanding with the Cleveland State University to place teacher candidates in our district classrooms for the purpose of participating in field-based teacher education experiences from November 2014 through October 2017, and that agreement was sent to the board under separate cover. J2, that the Board of Education accepts a donation of $50 for the fall coloring contest at Wilcox Elementary School from the Better Business Bureau. This is located in Cleveland, Ohio, as per the attached exhibit J2, And a special thanks to Kelsey for making that happen. Item J3, that the Board of Education approves the annual membership and dues for the Ohio School Boards Association Legal Assistant Fund and annual subscriptions for briefcase and negotiator publications for the calendar year 2015. This agreement was sent to the board under separate cover. Action item J4, that the Board of Education approves the attached listing of items to be deleted from the Dodge Intermediate School Inventory as per Exhibit J4. Item J5, that the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to enter into an agreement with Scholastic Incorporated whereby in exchange for permission to video record students engaging in Scholastic Inc.'s guided reading program, Scholastic Inc. will donate Guided Reading Blue and $100 of instructional materials to the classroom of each participating teacher. The board further directs the superintendent to ensure that all participating students are made aware that their participation in the videography is entirely voluntary as per the attached exhibit. Item J6, that the Board of Education approves the first reading of the following new and/or revised Board of Education policies. There are 38 policies listed in the agenda, which were highlighted during the committee reports. Item J7, that the Board of Education approves a release of transportation for one student for the 2014-2015 school year from the Twinsburg City School District to the Solon City School District. Item J8, that the Board of Education approves the recommendation of the Board of Trustees of the Twinsburg Public Library to appoint Mark Durbin to the Library Board of Trustees for a period of 4 years, commencing January 1st, 2015, to fulfill the remaining term of a retiring board member. This term will end on December 31st, 2018. And finally, action item J9, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education adopts the following resolution, and I will summarize, that the Board of Education hereby determines and declares to terminate the service contract effective June 30th, 2015, service contract specifically related to the Summit County Educational Service Center. The board hereby authorizes and directs the treasurer to provide written notice to the Summit County Educational Service Center no later than January 1, 2015, of the board's intent to terminate the service contract effective June 30th, 2015. The board hereby authorizes and directs the superintendent and the treasurer to negotiate a new service contract with the Educational Service Center of Cuyahoga County to be effective from July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2017, which shall be subject to the board's approval. It is found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and related to the adoption of this resolution were done in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public or otherwise in compliance with all legal requirements. Is there a motion for these 9 agenda items, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Felber, a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. King Criswell. First, and I think I already said it, a thank you to Kelsey, for she is the result, or the reason why we resulted in a $50 donation from the Better Business Bureau, and she was here tonight and was recognized, so that was very, very nice. We have legal firms that we utilize for all kinds of legal matters in the district. The item J3 is an opportunity where if we have simple items that require a simple answer of legal nature, not complicated, where we need attorneys to be very, very involved, we can contact OSBA, and they do have legal assistance. Our annual fee, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Aho, was $250, I think?
Yep.
So it's very small. We get these publications, and we can pick up the phone and call them and ask simple questions. You're not going to get into a lot of detail, but that's the purpose of that particular item there. I want to thank Rob and Tina and, well, Mrs. Powers for all of your work. There's 30, I don't think I've ever seen an agenda with 38 policy items on it.
That's only half of what's
And,
coming.
I know I surprised Rob and Tina tonight when I said, can you summarize this so that we're not here until midnight? If anybody has questions on the policies, by all means, if you're looking at something in the agenda and you want to know what it is, just call the office, ask Mrs. Powers, or if you know Ms. Davis or Mr. Felber, you can certainly ask them as well. most of these things are driven by, state and federal law, and we're just keeping up with those changes. So thank you very much for your summary on that. Item J8 is the recommendation for Mr. Durbin to serve as a trustee in the library board, and the reason that this shows up on our agenda is because the Twinsburg Board of Education is the fiscal agent for the library, and therefore these kinds of actions are required to come before this body to approve. So we are approving their recommendation for that appointment of Mr. Durbin to their board. The Educational Services Center, that contract, I've actually had some conversations with Mrs. Powers, and I know that this is not something new. There's been some conversation about the possibility of switching ESCs in terms of our affiliation. We are not beholden to any lines on a map in doing so, and we are simply making the decision, and it's my recommendation that the board approve the recommendation from the superintendent. I know that I have been to the Cuyahoga County ESC on many occasions for seminars and meetings and appreciate what they provide. I think that the ESC in Summit County is a valuable organization that provides valuable services. I think, though, as we align ourselves and look at the services that we're looking for, that this is a recommendation to simply put us in a better position to utilize services in the Cuyahoga County. It also aligns us with most of the districts that we are kind of around and associate with, and that is what agenda item J9 is, that we are officially terminating and then directing the superintendent to pursue the association that we would have then with the Cuyahoga County ESC. Mrs. Powers, I don't know if there's anything else. I tried to summarize it there. If there's anything else you want to add to that one.
Sure. By statute, it's in December of the even numbered calendar year, so 2014, that school districts need to determine if they would like to separate their service contract with an educational service center and then join on to another educational service center for a service contract. And for more than a year now, Marty and I have been engaged in conversations both with Summit County and Cuyahoga County, really trying to determine which of the two educational service centers can provide for the Twinsburg City School District the most progressive, the most updated services that we need to be able to stay ahead of, curriculum needs in particular. So we have been very fortunate in the fact that many of the opportunities that we're already engaging in have us engaged at Cuyahoga County, and we would just like to formalize that with a service agreement effective July of 15. So we'll remain in Summit County ESC's affiliation through the end of this school year, finish up the school year, and then we'll make that switch over the summer months. And I do want to just thank Linda Fuline, who's the superintendent at the Summit County Educational Service Center, and her staff. They offer very good programming, and they've been very helpful to the Twinsburg City School District. We just know that with all the educational initiatives that we are engaged in now, that we find that the services that we can participate in Cuyahoga County might really be very helpful and beneficial to the students here in our school district. So that's the decision, and we're going to move ahead with that with your approval.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or discussion on these agenda items? Roll call, please.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes. And those items pass 4-0. The last item requiring our attention on the agenda tonight is action item J10. Resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education holds this public hearing to give notice of the recommendation for the 2015-2016 academic calendar and to provide an opportunity for public comment. And I believe that we have a small typo that should be per exhibit. Is that J10, correct?
It is J10. You're using your old agenda.
I apologize. I printed this out earlier.
Yes.
So that is exhibit J10. A motion for this agenda item, please.
Motion.
Moved by Ms. King Criswell. Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. We had the administrative report on the calendar, and this is simply the action item that provides notice of the public hearing, giving at least 30 days for public comment. Any other comments?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes. And that item passes 4-0. Bringing us to miscellaneous on the agenda, do any of the administrators, I'll give them the first shot tonight, have anything under miscellaneous?
Well, we just, on behalf of our school district, wish everybody a wonderful winter break. We have so many things happening over the holiday break, and we hope that our parents and community members take a look at our district website and come out to a basketball game or hockey game or wrestling event. Lots going on. Tomorrow, our Great Expectations will perform at the Twinsburg Chamber of Commerce Holiday Luncheon, and they always do a great job. So we thank Mr. Lanou and Dr. Hamler and the students who will perform tomorrow. And it's been a great December, really has been. Lots of talent and just great staff that supports our kids all the way around. And of course, our parents are just phenomenal. So on behalf of all of our Tigers, best of wishes for great holidays.
Thank you, Mrs. Powers.
Welcome.
Anything else from my colleagues tonight?
No, just what she said. There's been some really great music programs, and I got to see Bissell on Monday night, and I was so pleased with the job that the kids did, and it was just very well organized, very well. Good job.
Great. Okay, we do have need for an executive session this evening. I will make the motion that the Board of Education enters into executive session at 8:50 p.m. to consider the employment of public employees as per Board of Education Policy 0166A, and for a matter required to be confidential as per federal law, FERPA, per Board of Education Policy 0166F. Is there a motion? I made the motion. Is there a second for this motion, please?
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. There's no scheduled action after this executive session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
That action item passes 4-0. The board will now move to executive session. Happy holidays, and thank you to all who attended tonight.